can be really difficult to find access to fresh fruits and vegetables, right?
Why? Why is it difficult to get access to fresh fruits and vegetables? It's because of... Starts with C and it rhymes with capitalism. The health crisis is manufactured, or at least that's what some would have you believe. Some people, such as Jordan Peterson. Now, what does he mean by this? I don't exactly know what he means by the health crisis is manufactured. He does have a food pyramid on here, and the food pyramid has a bad track record, but I think that there is a health crisis in America. I don't think it's manufactured. I think that it's manufactured insofar as like it's caused by capitalism. But that's a whole other thing. I'm sure that Jordan Peterson does not mean that. So I would like to go into what he thinks of the health crisis and what we should do about it. Let's see.
Do grains qualify?
And I should note that I'm going over this video particularly because I'm an RN and I'm very interested in the health crisis. So let's take a look.
As a whole food?
Well, certainly
Sorry.
Do grains qualify as a whole food?
As a whole food? I don't know what that means because it's part of a balanced meal. You know, like if you eat your greens, it's good. Like vegetables are a good thing to have, but they're not like an entire meal per se. Typically, usually you need some protein, you need some fat. You know, that's just me.
Well, certainly the form in which they are most frequently consumed today, absolutely not.
Right.
Most people today, the form of grains which most people consume are refined grains.
Muffins.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Health cake.
And even if you were to go to Google Images and look at the image of the food pyramid.
Wait, but grains are not vegetables. They're not greens. They're grains. Unless he said grains. Are grains whole food? Oh, did he say grains? Oh, if he said grains, then yeah, I agree. Like, that also is not like an entirely balanced meal. I mean, grains are good for you. Sorry, I thought he said greens. It's hard to understand him sometimes.
Pyramid, which thankfully has been retired. What it's been replaced by is, I would say not that much better.
Yeah.
Although it is an improvement, but I mean, it was literally the illustrated USDA food pyramid. It was like pasta. It was like loaves of bread.
Yeah. And that is because, which they're not going to touch on, that is because of the lobbying of sugar companies and grain companies. Okay. There was a lot of lobbying going on to get that out there that like grains are really good for you and you should eat more pasta and more bread and stuff and more cereal. There was a huge lobby for it. There was a huge fight between the fat industry and the carb industry, and both can be bad for you in vast quantities, but the carb industry won out. And so that's why we think that fats are super bad for us and carbs are actually good for us. Or at least we did for a long time, and now that's kind of backtracking, thankfully. But that's why the food pyramid looked like this for a long time. Look at this shit. It's telling you have 6 to 11 servings of grains, bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. And then fruit and vegetables right above that. I'm sorry, man. You need more fruits and vegetables than anything else, really. Like, at the end of it all, this is where you're getting all your nutrients. You're not even, it's not even for calories necessarily. This is where your nutrients come from. This is all empty carbs. All of this, empty carbs, okay? For the most part. Like, there are some very good grains, like whole grains and such, that give you good nutrients and fiber. But like, you need fruits and vegetables almost more than anything else. That's really what's going to be good for you. Meat, you can get iron from it. Milk and dairy, you can get calcium from that. But yeah, this down here is the main problem. This is bullshit. Fats, oils, and sweets, probably like you need just as much as carbs, really. Here's what you really need. Let me show you. Macro calories. So your three main macro calories are fats, carbs, and proteins, okay? A fourth one's alcohol. Don't worry about it. Fats, carbs, and proteins, okay? Fats, carbs, proteins, split. Okay? Here's what you need. Go away, AI. So it is going to be mostly carbs, okay? Because that's where you get your energy. So it's about 40 to 50% carbohydrates, but you want to eat healthy carbs. You want to eat fruits, vegetables, grains, like healthy grains, stuff like that, okay? That's carbohydrates, all right? 30% of it's going to be your protein. That's going to be your chicken, your meat, your lentils, right? Your spinach is good. Iron, that's what I'm thinking of. Spinach is iron, not protein, duh. Yeah, your lentils and your meats and your soy and stuff like that are going to be your protein, okay? Fat, you want fat, but you want good fats, okay? It's not even necessarily unsaturated fats. Saturated fats can be good for you in small quantities. You just want to make sure that the fats that you're getting are, coming along with vitamins, stuff like avocados, Soy has protein in it, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a protein, yeah. So yeah, that's the basic breakdown right there. This is what you want. And as long as you're getting a good mix of these, and you're getting these in addition to basic micronutrients such as iron, calcium, vitamins A through, A, B, K, C, all that good stuff, vitamin D. That's really where a lot of people get messed up, okay? That's where you get nutrient deficiency even while being like a larger, fatter person sometimes. Nutrient deficiency is a big problem in the United States. I got reminded of the whole soy boy thing and estrogen BS. Oh yeah. Soy is a common source of protein supplements, which is bizarre to me that like people would say that like soy is like feminizing you or something. It's crazy. No, it's a great source of protein. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me that that's essential for good health, that I need to be eating 7 to 11 servings of this
At least.
on a daily basis.
That is crazy.
If you actually look at what a grain is, I mean, most grains today actually in the supermarket are fortified because they're so nutrient impoverished that they have to have added nutrients added to them to make
Even
them
in their basic form.
serve any sort of dietary value at all. But they're essentially pure. It's essentially pure energy. It's cattle feed. Now, I'm not saying that grains can't play a supportive role to health. I mean, certainly you look at,
You should have fortified grains. I don't think that grains are necessarily bad for you. You just got to make sure that you're getting the right ones in the right quantities.
for example, bodybuilders who are in fantastic physical shape. It's not, they do, many of them on social media, the more prominent ones
But
do
so
use
far, I
performance
largely
enhancing
agree.
drugs. But I mean, grains can be used to facilitate exercise performance and the like. And I think
You can say too, like socially speaking, the first order problem
Here we go.
that our society had to contend with was getting everyone enough calories,
yeah.
right? And
Okay.
you could see some utility in
And also, like, that's the first problem, sure. But another thing you got to go into is the nutrients, right? Because a lot of Americans for a long time are very nutrient deficient. So that's the next big problem. We'll see if they bring that up. Yeah, corn syrup and cornstarch are basically in everything.
generating cheap calories. I often think about corn syrup in that regard.
Yep,
Corn
there
syrup
we
is
go.
a very cheap source
But
of
why?
calories.
Subsidies.
When
Subsidies to the corn industry, okay? To farmers to produce more corn. That's where it comes from. It's a capitalism problem, but they're never going to touch on that.
the problem is obesity and not starvation, corn syrup seems like a very bad solution.
Correct.
And so, I'm willing to give the Department of Agriculture, let's say,
But you can be starved of nutrients and still be obese, just so you know. And cornstarch doesn't help that, but they're not going to touch on that.
it's credit for assuming that, or for ensuring that calories per se are in plentiful supply, which is the case. But man, we're paying a vicious price for it on the other side of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is we live amidst the first time in human history where there are more overweight
Yeah.
people walking the earth than underweight.
Right.
And so we've solved the food scarcity problem. I mean,
Is that even true? I mean, I guess it could be. I don't know. I'll take his word for it.
you'd be hard pressed to find anybody
And by the way, we've solved the food scarcity problem, true, but we haven't solved like world hunger, which is again a problem with capitalism.
in a state of energy deficit today in the Western world,
Yeah.
especially
And
here
increasingly in the developed world,
And in-
except when that's used for political, like most of the starvation in particular in the developed world is purposeful, not the consequence
Okay, from where? Where does it come from?
of economic inadequacy, right?
Yeah.
It's targeted. And so, yeah, and that's a good thing that we solved that problem. But these problems are not trivial either.
Yeah.
And
See, again, like I said, they're not going to delve into it. It's like, yeah, it is targeted, but how and why? Like it's important to delve into that. Like, let's look at the structure of capital and see why there are people in what we call third world nations starving to death when we have plenty of food to go around. It's because we extract resources from their nations and don't give a shit about their well-being. Okay? And we waste food all over the place. That's why.
they're getting worse.
Correct. And I'm
That
not
part is
saying
manufactured.
that grains cause, Alzheimer's disease. That's never been my stance. But, we do have to look at this as a food quality problem.
Wait, what did he just say about Alzheimer's?
disease. That's never been my stance, but
Okay.
we do have to look at this as a food quality problem. And grains, I don't believe are, particularly when you have all these other options in the supermarket, like grass-fed, grass-finished beef, wild fatty fish, salmon, for example, sardines, eggs. Eggs are one of nature's cognitive multivitamins. A study was just published that found that, just
That is
consuming
They
true.
were demonized too.
They were demonized too.
You
Yeah.
bet.
And interestingly, and
What?
this is
What was this study that was demonized? I don't know anything about this. Eggs are quite good for you, though. If you can get them like locally sourced from places that don't abuse their animals, it's usually better, but I digress.
again, and to preface, I'll never, just to reiterate, I'll never know what caused my mom's dementia. I don't know if it had anything to do with nutrition. It could have had everything to do with nutrition. I don't.
Dementia can often be linked to nutrition. I mean, that's literally the shit that you're putting in your body on a daily basis, like 3 times a day. So that can absolutely be the case. It can contribute at least.
No, I'll never know. But, my mom was somebody who, for the entirety of her life, was concerned about heart disease. And so whatever the messaging was around.
By the way, I want to note that getting Jordan Peterson's opinion on nutrition is bizarre, considering that he was on an all meat diet and passed out because of an aversion to apple cider. Let's be real here. I'm not going to be getting my nutrition advice from him.
Heart disease is something that my mom adopted and ingrained essentially in not just her diet, but my diet growing up. And so, my kitchen was always filled with, low fat, fat-free, cholesterol-free, food-like products that adorned by the red Heart Healthy logo on them, which you still see ubiquitously in the supermarket, right?
That is
and
true.
Eggs were one of those foods that we threw out essentially in lieu of these more, processed, high-margin
Nothing they're saying is wrong so
replacement
far.
products. And an egg is literally a cognitive multivitamin. I mean, it contains a little bit of everything required to grow a brain, right? So it's postmarked by nature.
Eggs are very good for you.
This is what you need to grow a brain in an egg yolk, right?
Even if it's a chicken brain.
Even if it's a chicken brain.
That's a little simplistic, but yes, I largely agree that you can't subsist entirely off of eggs, okay? There are some other nutrients that you need. Let's be real, but yes, eggs are very good for you. I get the idea.
But studies are now starting to show that they're an incredible cognitive multivitamin. A study was just published that found that, all it takes is 1 to 2 eggs a week in this one study. And there was something like a 50% risk, close to a 50% risk reduction for the development of Alzheimer's disease.
Really?
Wow.
We know that choline is one of the most important nutrients. In fact, about 40% of the effect that they saw in this observational trial, they thought was attributed to the fact that egg yolks are the top source of choline in the standard American diet. And yet 90% of adults today don't consume the adequate intake for choline on a daily basis. And choline is
So that's the
incredibly-
consequence of demon.
Choline. What is choline? What does it do? Choline is a nutrient that is found in many foods. Your brain and nervous system need it to regulate memory, mood, muscle control, and other functions. You also need choline to form the membranes that surround your body cells. So eggs are a good source of choline, apparently. Which food is highest in choline? Liver, egg yolks, beef, chicken breast, fish, broccoli, soy, dairy. Okay, yep. That checks out.
Demonizing eggs.
There you go. You
Great.
demonize eggs.
Great.
90% of adults don't consume adequate.
Right, but again, eggs were demonized because of the corn industry. Okay, it all links back to capitalism. Once again, you subsidize farmers to grow corn. They all start growing a ton of corn and saying that grains are good for you, actually. Grains are good for you. Grains are good for you. And this messaging gets put out to the larger populace, right? And then everybody thinks that fat is terrible for you because the fats lost the capitalism war, okay? They lost the competition. And so now nobody eats eggs. Well, at least people didn't for a long time because it's mostly fat. It's fat and a little bit of protein with the egg white. In fact, the egg white is pretty much all protein. But yeah, eggs are really good for you. And it's a shame that capitalism did that to us.
With choline, which is crucially important. It's the backbone to acetylcholine,
Yeah,
which is
right.
the neurotransmitter involved in learning and
Eggs are
memory, right?
underrated.
It forms the, skeleton molecule of our neuronal membranes.
Is choline a neurotransmitter? I thought it was a amino acid. Or is it both? It can be both. It's a precursor for acetylcholine. There it is. Okay, so acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter. Choline is the precursor for it. So choline is formed into acetylcholine, and that's where you get the neurotransmitter part. So missing a step, but nonetheless.
Are crucially important for our, brain cell communication, our ability to perceive the world. So it's a fantastic food. And, you know, I remember when my mom first served me, you know, that egg, my first egg, she was like,
My first egg.
She warned me.
I remember when mother served me my first egg, and she warned me
not to consume them with any, you know, significant frequency because they might clog my arteries.
Right.
What an odd memory to have.
And we know the dietary cholesterol.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yes, I remember mother's eggs. Delicious. Mother's eggs.
The vast
data
majority
was
of
there a
people-
long time ago showing that this, I knew this in like in the 1980s. The
Welcome back, Straw Hat Monster.
decreased risk of heart disease reported as a consequence of cholesterol lowering was swamped by the increase in suicide that was caused by the fact that cholesterol is a precursor to serotonin. So even if fewer people died of heart attacks, which is probably not true anyways, more people committed suicide. So
Is that true? What he's saying might be true. I'm not sure. It makes sense, though. I'll just grant it as true.
So that's part of the problem with the complexity of dietary studies, right? Is you need to control for a lot of variables and you need to measure a lot of outcomes.
Yeah. But with these observational
Okay, yes, but we still can only, like, they're trying to, so what they're trying to do here, it looks like, is insert doubt into scientific studies so that people will start doubting them all over the place. You should be skeptical of scientific studies, but if you don't know how to read them and be skeptical of them, that's going to lead to problems in your personal life. This is the problem with like anti-vaxxers, right? They like don't trust any of the studies. They don't trust any science at all because they were told that like there was a mess up here or like inconsistent data there. And they're not trained to interpret these results. The people who are trained to interpret the results have discovered that yes, there was a lot of weird shit going on with capitalism that altered the course of these studies so that it favored grains over fats, okay? And both are very necessary for your health. So that's where it comes from. You know, if you really want like accurate studies, get rid of the monetary incentive. Just get rid of the profit incentive and you will have good studies.
studies, I mean, there's always residual confounding. Like,
Yes, always. There's no
Always.
way of controlling it.
There's no way.
No. You can't do correlational dietary studies.
yeah, you just can't.
No. They should never.
You can't do correlational dietary studies. What? I don't think that's true. You can't do... Yeah, you can. Wait, yeah, you can. You absolutely can. You can like isolate a dietary substance and have people either consume it or not consume it and then take data from that. Am I crazy? No, you can do correlational dietary studies. Right? What does he mean by that? I'm not being stupid, am I? Because I will own it if I'm being stupid. Yeah. I don't see why not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that makes sense. You can do like elimination diets too. Elimination diets. Like that's a correlational dietary study. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, you just can't.
No. They should never be published.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pro
Why not?
plants. You know, that's a flag that like
Okay,
you know
good.
that I've planted,
Same.
no pun intended.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to imagine a world where, you know, all of the, you know, the mountains of evidence that we have observationally looking at, you know, how fruits and vegetables impact human health, the positive effects that we see at the epidemiologic, you know, scale, that could potentially be a false positive because everybody and their mother
right.
knows that fruits and vegetables are good for you, right? And eating fresh fruits and vegetables today is an incredible privilege in a time when, you know, 60% of the calories come from these ultra-processed foods. It can be really difficult to find, you know, access to fresh fruits and vegetables, right?
Why? Why is it difficult to get access to fresh fruits and vegetables? It's because of... Starts with C and it rhymes with capitalism.
I mean, we
Yeah.
do have RCT data showing us that there are beneficial compounds. I've talked about some of the phytochemicals in it. But conversely, red meat, it's also very easy.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that a bit because I was obviously at some point we're going to get into the issue of the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And so
Also, what was he saying? Hold on, I'm going to go back for just a second because he was saying that like false positive from like studies that show eating fresh fruits and vegetables is good for you. Guys, you don't understand. You see, like, it turns out spinach, not that great for you, actually. Good source of iron, my ass. Turns out everyone knows that eating fruits and vegetables is good for you, so any studies that we do on it is going to be a false positive. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. I'm sorry, that's really stupid.
Obviously, at some point, we're going to get into the issue of the carnivore diet.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
And so
Carnivore
I guess
diet.
the first thing I'd say is, and you're making some allusion to it now, obviously.
Let's go.
What are your thoughts about the carnivore diet? And
Please.
its potential advantages and dangers?
Who's this guy he's talking to? Max Lugavera? American author who has written about diet and brain health, promotes diets that contain high amounts of animal source foods, and claims that veganism has increased risk of dementia. Oh, cool. Lugavera's views about supplements to supercharge the brain are not supported by scientific evidence. Oof. Oof. Well, there you go. He is an outspoken advocate against veganism. Cool. My view on veganism personally is that it is the morally correct thing to do, and I'm not going to do it because I'm too lazy, okay? I'm sorry. I respect the hell out of vegans, and I cannot do what you do. It's just too difficult. I have reduced my red meat intake, and I feel that that is adequate, and I'm sticking with that.
I think it's potentially a great therapeutic diet for people that have.
Wrong, sir. Wrong. A pure carnivore diet is terrible for you. It's terrible. You are not going to get the vitamins and the nutrients that you need to survive, okay? And to function properly as a human being. You're certainly going to get constipated. Let me tell you guys something. When I was in high school, I ate so much meat because I was trying to like bulk up for football, you know? And I got so constipated that the doctors thought that I had an appendicitis. That's how bad it was. I had to go to the hospital for an appendicitis because I was too constipated, okay? That's what a pure meat diet will do to you. And I wasn't even on a pure meat diet. That was just mostly protein, okay? Like there's a lot of McDonald's, there's a lot of protein shakes, and that's about it, okay? And I had to get on Miralax for a while, and it sucked. I was up all night shitting liquid, okay? I know that's too much information, but you get my point. So it was not great. Point is, get some fiber in your diet, get some fruit and vegetables. It is good for you, okay? Fruits and vegetables are good for you, as it turns out. Who would have guessed? Please do not do a carnivore diet. It's very stupid.
Have, a predisposition to autoimmunity.
Yeah, okay.
And it's not something that I would ever behold to anybody.
Red meat is contraindicated for people with autoimmune disorders, just so you know. Okay, for most autoimmune disorders, red meat is contraindicated. The only one that it's not, anemia is not autoimmune necessarily, but anemia, probably good to have some red meat in your diet. Other than that, red meat's really not good for you guys. Okay, avoid it, unless you're anemic.
Here's the other thing: is that diet zealots, particularly today on social media, they seem to be very emotionally invested in what other people eat. Mm-hmm. I don't care ultimately what other people eat.
Yeah, I feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
At say a moral level,
right? But like
or emotional,
you want people to be able to make.
I think so I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I think that there is more of a problem with people bitching about vegans than there is about vegans morally preaching to other people. I think that people feel judged by vegetarians and vegans. There was recently a Game Grumps segment I saw where Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps is a vegetarian, right? And he says that he tells people sometimes that he's vegetarian, and he says he feels that they feel judged. Like it's immediately putting people on edge, like they're being judged because they're not personally vegetarian. That's a personal problem, okay? You feel judged because you feel like you're not as moral as people who are vegetarian or vegan, which is true, by the way, which is true. Because being vegetarian or vegan means that you don't go out of your way to eat animals that have been killed for your pleasure, okay? I'm not vegetarian or vegan, but I do think it's the more ethical way to go about your life, all right? That's just true. Not involved in the torture of animals, the horrific meatpacking industry, okay? I'm just saying. But I don't feel judged because I do a myriad of things that I feel help the world improve, okay? And I understand also that there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, baby, so just enjoy your life. Hard disagree? On what? That being vegetarian or vegan is more moral? I'm sorry, but like the way that the current meat industry works is that it's horrific, okay? Meat that isn't fish or poultry. I still think even poultry is like not very moral, but the cattle industry for sure is the worst of it. If you want to try low meat dishes, Arab and Mediterranean dishes are often vegetarian or low meat and are delicious. That's a good point. I've had Mediterranean before, like a couple of times, and it's really, really good. When they say red meat, does that mean beef in general, or are we talking about it being not cooked brown? Oh, red meat just means beef and I believe pork count as red meat. Beef and pork.
Informed decisions, not decisions clouded by what I call covert activism, right?
Yeah, or overt activism.
Make the informed decision to eat your fruits and vegetables, please. This is kindergarten shit.
For that matter.
Yeah. Or, misinformation or disinformation about what it means to eat healthily today. Ultimately, I don't care. If somebody wants to.
Otherwise known as lies.
Yes, precisely.
Beef, pork, lamb, and goat.
Yeah, I mean, I would, for people that have seen a reprieve of symptoms from some of these awful conditions that people suffer from.
Yeah.
Like, keep doing it.
Yeah.
I would love to see the data on that. Let's see. All meat diet studies. Healthline. Carnivore diet. All you need to know. No controlled studies support claims that the carnivore diet can help eliminate health issues. It lacks beneficial nutrients, including fiber and plant compounds like antioxidants. It may be unsafe for some people. It is unsafe for everybody. It's a carnivore diet. It's unsafe for if you are a living, breathing human being and you're not a cat, don't do a carnivore diet. Okay? You're not a carnivore. You're an omnivore with a leaning toward plant food. Okay? We lean toward a plant diet. And that's why vegetarianism and veganism is acceptable and carnivore diets are not. You will not get the nutrients that you need. You cannot break down all the compounds that are inside of meat in order to get the benefits from it. You will your health. Do not do a carnivore diet. It is bad for you. And these pieces of shit are lying to you.
I think that for somebody with a robust gut microbiome who, I think people should be able to tolerate, and not just tolerate, but to derive,
benefit
a health benefit from many of these so-called plant defense compounds, even cruciferous vegetables, which have become demonized in certain carnivore circles, due to, certain glucosinolate compounds or compound like.
Every vegetable is demonized in a carnivore circle. They're carnivores. They're disgusting. That's not human. I'm sorry.
Sulforaphane, which, there are actual randomized human trials that show that these compounds can actually help us detoxify from some of these environmental pollutants that we know, play a role in disease.
I'd love to see them.
Obviously, you can get a certain dose.
Is he talking about compounds from meat or from what did he say? What kind of vegetables? Cruciferous. That's like broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, stuff like that.
Trials that show that these compounds can actually help us detoxify from some of these environmental pollutants.
Okay, if he's talking about vegetables, I agree. Vegetables, if you want to talk about detoxing to the extent that you can actually detox, vegetables are the best way to do it, okay? Because they have nutrients and they have, and another good way to do it is yogurt, because you can actually help your gut biome, your microbiome in your gut with yogurt and with like good dairy products. But yogurt's probably the best. Eggs are good for your microbiome as well. But yeah, if he's talking about vegetables, I agree. They antioxidants are a thing. And if you don't know what antioxidants are, just real quick, sorry, I know I'm being very ADHD right now. Antioxidants basically, so there's a thing in your body called free radicals. And free radicals happen as a result of breathing, if you can believe it. Free radicals are O negative atoms, basically. They are ions, I should say, ions. And the more O negative ions that you have in your body, the worse it is for you, because your body takes oxygen and breaks it apart. And that's kind of how your body utilizes oxygen, right? And when your body breaks apart oxygen, it leaves behind what's called free radicals. And free radicals are very reactive and they can actually cause damage to your DNA. And that's thought to be what causes the aging process, right? It shortens the DNA or something like that. So to get rid of free radicals and prevent aging, you can take what's called antioxidants. And antioxidants are things that will eat up the free radicals instead of your body and kind of pass them through, right? It's very simple. It's basically just a cleanup mechanism for free radicals. It helps keep you looking younger. It helps keep you feeling better. And guess where antioxidants come from? Fruits and vegetables. So eat your goddamn fruits and vegetables, eat your raspberry juice or whatever it is, your cranberry juice, chock full of antioxidants, all right? Good for you. Slurp it up, okay? Fruits and vegetables. Do not do this carnivore diet shit. Jesus Christ.
That we know, You know,
Detoxify isn't real. I just mean to the extent that it is real. It's not real, but to the extent that it is, fruits and vegetables are the best way to detoxify, okay?
play a role in disease. Obviously, you can get a certain dose, if you will, of phytochemicals from eating animal source foods, but carotenoids like lutein and zeaxanthin, which we know are very beneficial to brain health, you're not going to find a better source of them in the supermarket than kale, for example, which people love to hate on.
Yes.
But
so then why are you pushing a carnivore diet? Why would you do that? Shut up.
Foods like kale, spinach, dark leafy greens,
red meat is not good for you.
I think that I do think that for most people the benefits outweigh the risks.
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan Peterson is well known for his carnivore diet shit and also passing out from apple cider. So maybe he's not the best person to take dietary advice from. I'm just a nurse, though. What the hell do I know? I'm just saying.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, hit the notification bell to be notified when I upload. If you enjoy my content, you enjoy what I do, I really appreciate any financial help that I can get. Go to youtube.com/AlecGunterTTV/join. You got some awesome benefits, such as seeing early videos, awesome emotes that you can use in the comments of YouTube videos, and a sweet badge next to your name. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'd really appreciate if you join. It is cheaper than the cost of a blowjob from your mom. So with all that being said, thank you again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.